Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Gemini. We all have our dualistic nature of free will, and we kind of have to battle within ourselves in our free will. Are we going to move forward having more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams? Or are we going to stay in our comfort zone? Are we going to keep living life the way we maybe been living it, even though we might have some issues about living our life that way? And then we have our free will, and then we're dealing with all these other people in the world who have their free will. And some of those people are more aligned with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and they're loving and encouraging, and they're not trying to manipulate us, and they want us to grow to our full potential. We have the free will to hang out with people who are like that, or our comfort zone could be to stay in relationships with people who are more rejecting of us, or that we're always trying to help them heal and grow and mature themselves, but we're maybe not in relationships with people who are challenging us to heal and grow and mature ourselves. Or, we could be in shadowy energy of our own, that we have the people in the world who want us to be in a relationship with them being in shadowy energy. So some people could be struggling within themselves. Some people are moving forward in life differently. Some people are choosing to keep living life the way they live it. Some people have no interest in doing life in a more high vibrational way. And we just need to see the truth of it. The truth sets us free. If you are more motivated by love and justice and fairness and treating people the way you like to be treated, you need to be in relationships with people who are like that. And if you are more shadowy and worldly or prideful or egotistical, you probably should be in relationships with people who are more in line with that way of viewing life. Generally we like to hang out with people who are kind of on the same page as us, and quit trying to change other people or get them to view life the way you view it. Okay. So, the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Knight of Swords, which I do view as Gemini energy. The reason for the top row's reading is the Ten of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. In high vibe, Virgo energy is about learning lessons. In our Gemini energy, we had a way of viewing life. That was our truth. But we had a certain way of viewing life and truth when we were 15. And when we were 18, and when we were 21, and when we were 25. Are we willing to get out of our defensive nature to learn lessons in life? You have to get out of your ego, and the bottom row can just represent our more egoic nature. I'm defensive to change. I'm defensive to doing some inner work that I might need to do about some things that manipulate me. That does take work and effort. I don't want to see the truth of those things. I don't want to see the truth of my own shadowy nature, or I don't want to see the truth of other people in my life and their shadowy nature. We're all ready to move forward in life differently. And the tens can also be completing a cycle where you feel like, I've lived my life at a certain stage of life. I think I've kind of learned everything I needed to learn there. I think the only reason I'd keep defending living this old way of life is kind of because I'm in my ego with the Strength card about maybe believing in myself and believing in my dreams. So I keep defending my more fearful, egoic nature. But our more high vibe, Gemini, Virgo energy is telling us, your ego is manipulating you. Other people in your life are manipulating you. Have some hope and faith and belief in yourself and love yourself, and you could close out an old cycle in your life. But you have to be willing to speak the truth, and you have to be willing to stand up for yourself to get the justice you deserve. And all of that can be a process, right? We can have a hard time standing up for ourselves and speaking our truth. And we definitely could know some people in our life that they're definitely not willing to do that, or they're not willing to get out of their ego, or they have a way of living life that maybe is more competitive, more about the world, more about their status or their ego or their image, and they're defensive to looking at life any differently. That is their truth, and that's what they're going to defend. And if there's people in their life that they in turn love, they might not realize there's people in their life who are trying to manipulate and control them. Well, until they're willing to see the truth that some people in their life don't want them to love and believe in themselves and close out an old chapter, high vibe energy is about being more independent, living your more authentic life. And we can have people in our life that we love, but they have no interest in living their life that way or being more independent of the world or their ego or their defensive nature or whatever. And then because we can love them, we're not willing to move forward in life differently. Well, we can get in relationships with people, and if some of the people we get in relationships with have things that manipulate them, just by continuing to stay in a relationship with them and not moving forward with our own life, then we have to let those things kind of manipulate us also. And we could be turning our back on the truth. And that's what shadowy energy can be. I don't want to see the truth. I don't want to deal with the truth. It might require me to stand up for myself. It might require me to get more balance within myself. Quit indulging poor behavior in myself and in others. And I don't want to do any of that. So some people, and then we could see the truth about some people in our life that I think these things manipulate you. I think these people manipulate you. I think the world manipulates you. I think your ego or your fear, your defensiveness and fear of being hurt, all of those things manipulate you. And I can't have my dream come into reality with you as long as you're in that energy. Because in order for my dream to come into reality, I need to be in relationships with people that, even though there can be things that we love, we could be more about ourselves. We could like to try to manipulate people. We could be kind of bossy and controlling. Well, until those people see that that really isn't conducive to a high vibe relationship, they're going to keep having people who might love them be defensive to them. I can love you, and I don't really want to hang around you. We've all got maybe some brothers or sisters or siblings or adult children or coworkers that if we don't really have to be around them, we don't care to be around them. Because if they defend their more shadowy egoic nature, which can just be trying to manipulate people, being competitive, being defensive, being prideful, they're more self-indulgent focused, more whatever it is they want to indulge in that they think will make them happy, if that's money, status, power, or other things, they keep defending that. It's like, well, I love you, I wish you peace, but I don't really want to hang out with you that much. Can I still see you at Christmas? Yes. Can we get along when we're out in the world? Yes. Do I want to spend more time with you? No. And they probably don't want to spend more time with you because you live your life differently. Your truth is different. How you view life is different. What you want to invest your time, energy, and effort into is different. With most of the people in our life, we can accept that everybody's different. That's okay. Yeah, they're different. Yep, they like this. Yep, they like that. Yep, they think this way. Yep, they think that way. And it doesn't really matter. We know that. There's all these different ways of viewing life and living life. We know that people live life differently and view life differently. It's more of a problem when it's someone who we did want to have a dream come into reality with, and we can feel betrayed. Why did this person start to have inner conflict about continuing to move forward with me in a friendship or relationship? And it might have been that has to maybe do with this card, that we didn't realize we harnessed that card differently. And, if we view life a certain way and we defend living life a certain way and we have a certain truth, we can tend to think that other people would view life that way. And, we could have a lot of other things in common and enjoy a lot of similar things and be on the same page in a lot of ways. But then as time goes by in a relationship or at a workplace, we can start to realize that we thought we both harness this energy the same way, but then we find out one person harnesses it in a little more shadowy, worldly way, and the other person harnesses it in a more high vibrational way. The Death card. So, the Death card is Scorpio, emotional water sign energy. It can talk about that some people aren't defensive to change because the Death card is about death and transformation. I live my life at a certain phase of life. I learn lessons. While I'm learning those lessons, I defend living my life a certain way. But then when I've kind of learned what I needed to learn there, I could come to realize that my intuition and like my high vibe Gemini, my loving nature, and my Gemini Virgo nature is telling me it's time to move forward to face my fears about taking the lessons I've learned. There's nothing new to learn where I'm at in a way. It's kind of dead. I just keep repeating the same old pattern over and over and over. And why would I do that? Because I'm defensive to maybe loving and believing in myself. And so I keep repeating an old pattern more out of fear of moving forward in life differently and maybe stepping outside my comfort zone. If that's like, I'm in a job and I feel like I've kind of went as far as I can in the job, or there is no potential to move forward in a job, but I'm afraid of leaving this job to go get another job. I could like people that I work with, and I could feel like some of those people could get mad at me if I went to go get another job. Well, who do you think you are? Why didn't you stay here? It's kind of all those things that can influence us. But high vibe people are motivated to kind of keep loving and believing in themselves and don't like to be manipulated by their own fear and insecurity or other people that try to manipulate and control them. And they listen to their intuition. And when their intuition is telling them that something's become like dead and stagnant, and the Five of Wands, we're having inner conflict about it because we kind of thought maybe a dream was going to come into reality. And some of the people in our life could have created this illusion. I view both the Queen of Swords and the Star card as Aquarius energy, which can be about a dream that we have. And we could have gotten in relationships with some people who created the illusion that they harnessed high vibe Aquarius energy, but they actually harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy. And it could be that, I thought you viewed life like me. I thought you had inner conflict. I had inner conflict. A little bit, we both kind of could have been in our ego. We could have felt betrayed, is what the Queen of Swords talks about. And the Queens can talk about how we think and feel, so it doesn't matter if you're male or female. That there could have been other things in our life that didn't work out the way we wanted. And so we wanted to have a new beginning. We're kind of looking for people who we think we can bring this dream into reality. And then we can meet people who present themselves as harnessing, these high vibe energy, that they're on the same page as us. But really, they're not really ready to move forward. Or they have a way of living life that they want it to stay there. You keep having inner conflict about maybe loving and believing in yourself, maybe being in more codependent energy, or maybe you're a very loving, nurturing person. Perfect. I want to be in a relationship with a loving, nurturing person, but that's not really the truth of who I am. I kind of operate from my more defensive nature, but I think this is just and fair. You're loving, I'm not loving, but I will temper my ego to work together with you in a relationship. It might be good for my ego and my image and my status. It might make me look like a shining star. It might make me look like I've changed. It might make it look like I'm not hurtful and unkind or superficial and shallow or intimidating or controlling if I were to be in a relationship with you. And for some people, it is all about trying to create this illusion in the world about the truth of who they are. And some of them wear a very good false mask. They present themselves as being very stable and grounded and emotionally mature, and you should work with them, you should date them, you should marry them. And then, as you're working with them, trying to bring this dream into reality, and it kind of might feel shadowy Scorpio, could feel like it's a little emotionally shallow and superficial. And you're kind of heartbroken because you wanted more deep, meaningful relationships. And the person you could have gotten in a relationship with, you come to realize is kind of defensive to manifesting from love. And so then you're kind of heartbroken, but you've already had that new beginning with them to try to bring this dream into reality. Could have married people, could have had a family with people. And you feel kind of betrayed. But then, in our more worldly, egoic, defensive nature, we're kind of defensive of getting out of it. Well, there is a lot of things that I do like about this. I'm in a relationship, might have created a family with them, could have stability and security with it, and I could love them, but I don't feel like I'm in a just and fair and balanced, authentic, loving relationship. Because somebody created the illusion that was their truth, but then I found out that wasn't their truth. And it was more about trying to manipulate maybe a loving person to get in a relationship with them, and then hoping that once you did realize the truth, that you'd be defensive of ending it. And some people could be in that situation right now, and you might know some people like that you love, and you could see they're dealing with this, The high vibe people eventually kind of did this work within themselves when the card isn't showing themselves. Other people don't really know it. That they do maybe find the relationship more superficial and shallow. That maybe some of the people in the relationship are kind of manipulative and controlling and maybe egotistical and self-centered and kind of intimidating and controlling. And other people don't know that. And then, the high vibe people can have this inner conflict between their mind and their heart. I love them, but I have inner conflict of continuing to move forward in something that I feel manipulated in, and I feel sad because I had a dream. High vibe Scorpio, I view the Queen of Cups as Scorpio. I had a dream of manifesting with people who were more balanced within themselves, in their Libra energy, about their worldly nature, in their loving nature. And I wanted to be in a more just and fair and authentic and loving relationship. That's what I think is just and fair, but I ended up getting in a relationships with some people who are defensive to that truth. And they think this is just and fair. This works for them. Well, yeah, if you're kind of the more immature, shadowy, emotionally detached, cold, whatever type of person, and it works for their ego and image or financial stability or whatever, yeah, it works for them. But the loving people are in a relationship with someone like that. It is not working for the loving people. And so then the loving people do this work within themselves to work through, why would I stay in it? And I have to get clear about what my truth is, or I'm going to keep staying stuck. And the difference between the one sword and the three swords is the two of swords, Libra energy again, represented by the scales of justice, that do I deserve a just and fair relationship? Do I deserve to be staying stuck? Because the two of swords can talk about that you're stuck. And it's hard to work through this, and especially because we do have this mind and heart conflict. And Scorpio talks about our deep emotional connections with people and kind of these confusing thoughts. I don't like them, I like them. I love them, but I don't want to be in a relationship with them. And, we're emotionally complex human beings, and that's what Scorpio talks about. And then we kind of work through it to get to the truth. And the truth is, I could have viewed people as very just, fair, stable, grounded, nurturing, loving people, and maybe at one time they were. But everybody can change over time. We're either putting in work and effort to be more balanced within ourselves and just and fair, or some people hid that when they could think once they get in the relationship, well, then they think, I don't know, they don't have to put in the work and effort. That's your job. You should be the one to put in the work and effort. I don't know. For some people, they could be full of themselves, like, oh, well, I agreed to get in a more involved relationship with you or hire you. That was my part. That was my job, was to get you to take the job or get in the relationship or the marriage. But then it's your job to keep it going. Anybody can have any kind of screwy ideas they want about what they think is just and fair in a relationship. Where they no longer think they have to be just and fair and keep things in perspective. It could go back to being kind of more about themselves. They have this illusion, is what the magician can talk about, that they could have this illusion, because you could have bought into the illusion, like, oh my gosh, this is this type of person. And this is the kind of person I want to be in a relationship with. And I believe they have these traits and qualities and characteristics and ways of viewing the world. And they're like, yeah, so long as you keep believing that, believing the illusion I created, well, then I'll keep staying in it. You keep acting a certain way because you believe it. And I'll keep indulging myself in the relationship for as long as it lasts. But if you ever start to kind of stand up for yourself and are like, wait a minute, I kind of feel like you're trying to use the love that I have for you to manipulate me. Or just because we're in the same family, like you should be able to manipulate me or something, right? Or that it's kind of more about you, or you have these people in your life that manipulate you, and then you think I should let those people manipulate me. And high vibe energy is about becoming more independent. And you could just realize that some people that you get in relationships with, they have a lot of things that manipulate them within themselves. Their pride, their ego, their fear, their insecurity, their past pain and heartbreak or whatever, their defensive nature. But they in turn then could have other people in their life that they align with. And those people, kind of appeal to them to live their life from their more shadowy, worldly, egoic, defensive way of living life. And it all can cause conflict and fighting and heartbreak in a relationship. Some people are still staying in it. There's a part of them that could like to end it, but they're still defensive to ending it. So it's like the fives can talk about change. Some people are staying in something, still hoping that some other people will change. But the whole thing is, everybody has free will. And if you offered people truth and love and you were just and fair, and they still keep not choosing to work together with you in that way, they've already made their free will choice. And we're kind of not wanting to see the truth of it. And we can all stay in denial of the truth of it for as long as we want. And other people are like, I'm not going to keep staying in something that isn't aligned with my truth and that tries to stop me from loving and believing in myself and standing up for my dreams. They're standing up for their viewpoint and doing life the way they want, but they want you to kind of give up your dreams because they don't want to move forward in the same truth and viewpoint of life and relationships that you have, And they basically want you to put an end to your dreams and keep repeating this old pattern with them and doing it kind of more aligned with their truth and their philosophy of life. And some people are like, I'm not doing that anymore. So you can have distanced yourself from some of those people and had a new beginning. And you've done this work within yourself to emotionally detach from those people. I don't want to be in that type of relationship or work environment anymore. If I ever find myself in another one where people are kind of acting in some way that I view as kind of immature or bossy or controlling or manipulative or unjust or unfair, I'm going to do what I can to get out of there as quick as possible. But as you're moving forward in the world, because other people don't look at life that way, some people don't realize that, you've changed. Some of the people from your life that were kind of bossy or controlling or manipulative don't realize that you're no longer interested in being in a more emotionally involved relationship with them, because they always keep letting all these things manipulate them, and they kind of create an illusion in the world. They could just think you're putting on a better illusion than they are. They don't understand how you're doing it. And they could be angry because you seem to present yourself as the stable, grounded, balanced, loving person. Well, the whole thing is you're not creating an illusion. You did get out of your more worldly, egoic, feeling betrayed, having all these things in your life and from your past, all these things that could have manipulated you. And you've transformed your life. You were enlightened to the truth. You aren't stuck anymore in two minds about things. You picked your path. And you're now aligned with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature and keeping things in perspective, looking at life from a higher perspective, having hope and faith and belief in your dreams. You've come to know your own worth and value. You do feel much more stable and abundant and grounded within yourself than you maybe did before, how we feel within ourselves when we're younger versus when we're older. If we do some of this work within ourselves to free ourselves from some of the things that manipulate us, we do feel more stable and grounded within ourselves. And we were willing to learn the lessons we were meant to learn from those life experiences. Some people are more bossy, more controlling, more defensive, more manipulative, unjust, unfair, egoic. I don't take it personally. They are who they are. They have their free will. I let them live their life the way they want to live it. I don't take it as a personal reflection of my worth and value, just because, not, a good comparison is like God offers people truth and love and justice and wants to work with them cooperatively to try to bring a dream into reality. But there's a lot of people in the world that are defensive to that. I don't believe that. I don't believe I have anything more to work with than these things of the world. And pride comes before the fall, but we think we're so smart. No, this is the way you're supposed to do it. They don't listen to their intuition. They keep repeating old patterns. They keep being more competitive or egoic or being manipulated. And until those people see the truth that what they're trying to manifest, the result, if they plant seeds more from their more worldly egoic nature, that's what they're going to harvest. And if they want to harvest more just and fair and authentic and balanced and loving relationships, those are the seeds they need to plant. And it starts within them to quit aligning with their more shadowy nature and align. But some people are like, no, I don't have to do that. I just need to get in a relationship with someone who's like that. Well, loving people when they were younger could have put up with a lot of bullshit in relationships. But the more they have life experience in that it's like, because they could also kind of in their more egoic nature, like, oh my gosh, I'm like a shining star and I can change people. And, we are told, and it is true, love is the answer, but we offer truth and love and encouragement to people, and then we let them make their free will choice, and we kind of keep moving on until they've changed. But of course, we didn't do that when we were younger. We got in a relationship with them, and we dated them, and we married them, thinking one day they'd change. Well, if you indulge someone in their poor behavior, they have no incentive to have to change. I kind of got the best of both worlds. I get to be shadowy, and I got this loving person to stay in a relationship with me. And so then high vibe people realize, I've got to quit trying to change people. The only person I can change is me. I need to figure out why I get in relationships with people who are like that. Why don't I get in relationships with people who are more loving and hopeful and believing and truthful and just and fair and balanced? Partly is because then it does challenge us to work through our own issues. When we're in a relationship where they're the only one who needs to change, well, they're kind of immature. Well, they're kind of bossy and controlling. Well, they're this. They drink too much or whatever. Well, then it doesn't challenge us to kind of grow. I mean, we might grow in it, in our patience or whatever, but they're the ones who have to change. So how about quit trying to change people? Accept the truth that they like living their life a certain way. Okay, I'm going to let you work with other people who like to live their life that way. And I could be a little sad because I loved you and I wanted to bring a dream into reality, but my dream can't come into reality with people who that is their philosophy of life and their truth. So the only person I can change is me. And I kind of might realize, because in Gemini energy of our free will, there could have been people in my life that I didn't get into friendships or relationships with, or I got out of friendships or relationships with, because I was repeating an old pattern. And I could have been rejecting the people in my life that were more on the same page as me, motivated and inspired by love. But because I had this idea, no, that's not my comfort zone. I'm going to try to change these people. That we could have rejected people, and those people could have been heartbroken that we didn't stay more in a relationship with them. And we, in turn, right now, could have some people in our life that are like, no, that's out of my comfort zone. I'm going to go align with these people and repeat this pattern. That keeps me in my comfort zone. And then we're the ones who are kind of heartbroken. Well, the whole thing is, when we realize these truths, high vibe people get out of their ego. It's like, ding, 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 ding. I kind of see why I've been repeating a certain pattern. And I don't want to repeat that pattern. And so I'm going to do this work to transform my truth and my way of viewing myself and my way of viewing the world and my way of viewing relationships. And I'm going to get more balance within myself. And I'm going to put things in perspective so I can just see life from a bigger perspective, and I can let those things go of my past to be free of it and to close out that old chapter in my life. And after the 10 of Pentacles, we have the Page of Pentacles or the Ace of Pentacles. We move forward in life differently because we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from that stage of life. And we might realize there's some people in our life that we don't want to end relationships with because they are more on the same page as us. And some of those people have been in our life all that time. Some other people could be people we let go of and distance ourselves from. And we communicate our truth to people. I've looked at life differently. I've changed. This is how I'm moving forward. Is this your truth or isn't this your truth? Are we on the same page now? Are we not? Some of those people could just still be in their ego for the fact that in the past you didn't want to hang out with them more. Well, they're going to have their own karmic consequences because of that. And maybe, we can speak our truth and we don't really necessarily, especially if it was people we didn't get to know well enough, or people can change, or maybe we never really knew them well enough. Some of those people are like, damn, I wanted to be in a relationship with you, but I wanted to do it the way it was and the way you did it with those other people. I didn't think you were going to look at life completely differently. Well, I'm kind of defensive to that too, because I'm still repeating this certain pattern and I have this way of viewing life. I might have wanted to be the person you indulged in a relationship, but instead you indulge those people. Well, now you might tell me you're ready to move forward in life differently, but I still kind of want to do this type of relationship. Damn. I don't want to do that type. So then, it doesn't work out for them either. And also it kind of illuminates the truth that maybe they hadn't wanted to see the truth of. They could have thought, oh no, I'm a more just and fair and balanced and loving person. It just didn't work out. They had to learn some lessons. But then when you tell them the truth and how you change them, then they kind of can't maybe stay in denial that they really kind of like to be in relationships where it's more about them or where they can manipulate people. And then as you're moving forward, there's going to be different people who you're going to meet. And some of those people would like to be in a relationship with you. Even how you work together with people in a workplace. But they think, again, that you should let them kind of manipulate you. And they can't understand why you're not kind of wanting to hang out with them, align with them, be in your ego about being friends with them and whatever. And it's like, because you're kind of just not caught up in that more worldly, competitive, egoic, oh, aren't you going to like me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? I'm going to live my truth. I'm going to put work and effort to move forward in a just and fair, treat other people the way I like to be treated. And then there's always going to be some people in the world that don't like it because they're used to being able to manipulate and control people. And they thought you were someone, they didn't realize you had went through some life experiences that kind of made you be more willing to stand up for yourself. And they're like, yeah, but you're one of the hopeful, believing, loving people. I'm supposed to be able to manipulate you. It's like, well, I might be a hopeful, believing, loving person, but I also am willing to stand up for my truth. And I'm not going to get all up in my head or have all this inner conflict. I'm just going to see the truth of who you are and kind of keep my distance from you. And then they don't like that because they already know they probably tried to intimidate you, control you, manipulate you, and that you saw the truth of it. You weren't caught up in the emotional confusion and illusion of it. And you're kind of not investing in them. And they thought you would. And you're kind of more looking for people who are more on the same page as you. So there's people in the world who have inner conflict because you have changed. You do have more hope and faith and belief in yourself. You do know your worth and value. You know what you bring to the table. And if people don't appreciate what you bring to the table, which is I'm willing to work together with you in a just and fair manner, in truth and love and justice and fairness. And they're like, yeah, but I don't like that. It's like, okay, then you work with the people you work with. But sometimes they don't like that. I mean, at a big picture, you could look at the devil. Does the devil, if people are shadowy, the devil wants to get loving people to indulge them. They don't want the other shadowy people who lapdog at them and lick their feet and kiss their ass. It's like, oh my God, get out of here. I'm so sick and tired of you. I want that person to give up hope and faith and belief in their dreams and kiss my ass and lick my boots, right? And they really don't like that they can't manipulate some people. It's like, oh wow, so sad that you're upset that you can't manipulate people. And then they realize they have to go try to manipulate someone else. So they'll maybe go find someone else who might be in their ego because something changed in their life that didn't work out the way they wanted, who might kind of feel betrayed, who might buy into the illusion of this person, and that person won't see the truth that this person is more emotionally shallow and superficial than they realize until some future point in time. And then those people will have to decide if they're willing to keep maintaining the illusion or if they're willing to stand up for themselves, you know? It's kind of like God. God uses all things for God's good purposes, and shadowy people serve a purpose in the world because we have free will. Is this your truth? You can hang out with these people if you want. Shadowy Leo, shadowy Aquarius, shadowy Gemini Virgo, shadowy Scorpio, shadowy Gemini, or you could work through your own shadowy natures of all of those, see the truth, how you need to change, get out of kind of more caught up in these things of the world, see the truth, be inspired to believe that there's more to life than the ego or the image or blah, 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 and go live your authentic life and be more independent of all these things within you and outside of you that try to manipulate you. And I think you will feel very stable and abundant within yourself. And because you're not acting in this way, you're probably no longer engaging with people who are like that. And you'll be in relationships and investing your time, energy, and effort into people who are more on the same page as you. And it's very loving and supportive and encouraging and inspiring friendships and relationships. Well, where the other people keep repeating this old pattern of trying to manipulate people, being someone who's manipulated, maybe being a more codependent energy, fearful nature, defensive nature. And, you know, we've all been there, but some people just don't want to be there anymore. And even though they could be sad and they could be heartbroken, they have a dream and they see their dream can't come into reality there. So what is coming up for the people who harness a more high vibrational Gemini energy that they might not see coming? A card not showing itself because of the Magician. So the Magician is Gemini and Virgo energy, which is about believing you have all the resources at any given time to start to begin to manifest your dreams into reality, which is the truth. Because it does kind of start more in the creative, inspired realm. What do I believe is possible? To start to focus on what you would like to bring into reality, and then you start to invest your time, energy, and effort, and your thoughts and your emotions into working on bringing that into reality. And because you did that, what some people don't know about you is that you have detached from harnessing this energy in a more shadowy, worldly way, and you are willing to detach from some people in your life who harnessed it in a shadowy way. The Star card. So, which is Aquarius energy. Some of you could be dealing with an Aquarius, but you could have been more caught up in this worldly dream and these things that you thought would make you happy, that you could have indulged in, that you could have made your life about. And you just look at life differently. You're not so caught up in having a certain, I don't know, these things that the world tells you should make your life about to be happy. It's like, you know what? I'm willing, high vibe Aquarius, because instead of harnessing it in a more worldly, shadowy way, what people don't know about you is you harness it in a more high vibrational way, which high vibe Aquarius is unique and it's willing to step outside of societal norms to bring needed change in the world. That you don't get all caught up in your head about those things. You keep things in perspective. You do have hope and faith and belief in a higher truth and justice, and believe there's more to work with in this world than just these things of the world, which you do. You have your creativity, your imagination, life force energy that exists in a world of duality. Shadowy energy tries to stop us from giving birth to new things. Life force energy, represented by God at the big picture, is trying to get us to give birth to new things, to get out of our ego, get out of our defensiveness, learn the lessons we were meant to learn, love ourselves, heal, and keep believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams so that we can manifest those things into reality. And that's what some people don't understand about you, and they can't understand maybe why some people defend you and want to manifest with you when these people could have ego and image and status and look a certain way, act a certain way, dress a certain way, have a certain amount of money. And they think people should want to love them and be in a relationship with them. It's like, but you're not loving. You're defensive to learning lessons in life. You're more driven by the ego and the image and maybe more about yourself. And the other people do work together with people in a just and fair and authentic and loving way, and they do temper their ego. And they do work together with people. They have hope and faith and belief and love. And that's why some of those people defend them, because those people aren't more emotionally invested in making their life more about these things of the world. Their truth is love. So they're going to find the other loving people in the world to be in a relationship with. So you cut out people who harness a more shadowy Scorpio, Aquarius, and Gemini energy to align with people who harness a more high vibrational Scorpio, Aquarius, and Gemini energy. What's coming up for the people who harness a more shadowy Gemini energy that they don't see coming up? It has to do with this card not showing itself because of the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands, like the Strength card and the Five of Wands, is Leo energy. We're either motivated and inspired to be authentic and motivated and inspired by truth and love and to be more authentically ourselves and loving and nurturing, because that's the truth of who we are, or we're defensive to doing that. And the shadowy people are defensive of doing that. And there's always going to be more high vibrational people in their life who love them, but eventually they see the truth that you keep repeating these old patterns out of your defensiveness or your ego or something. And eventually other high vibe people in their life kind of get out of their ego about it and stand up for themselves. And, you know, if these are much more egotistical, self-centered people, they love themselves and they indulge their more immature, indulgent, egotistical nature, and they think it's just and fair, and they can't understand why other people won't make them the center of their universe, because they make themselves the center of the universe. And eventually other people see the truth. You're not willing to work together with me in a more self-aware, insightful, emotionally mature, just and fair and balanced way. You always try to manipulate people to get them to do what you want. And eventually people in their life get defensive to it. And eventually the people in their life no longer are in this energy either. The Chariot in reverse. I'm not going to keep staying in something that never moves forward in an emotionally balanced, loving way. The Chariot is Cancer energy. We can be very loving people, and people can always love someone, but if the other people are defensive to manifesting from love, eventually the other people see that that's not how you're willing to move forward. You want to keep not doing love, and you want to keep defending it being more about you, and you're being indulged or defensive or whatever. And eventually other people see the truth and other people move on. And then these people keep being defensive to seeing the truth, and they go decide, I'll go find someone else who feels betrayed, who's in their ego because something didn't work, is heartbroken that a dream didn't come into reality, and I'll try to present myself as a person that they can have their dream come into reality with. I am victorious and successful. People will want to be in a relationship with me. And the same pattern, if they keep trying to get more loving people to be in a relationship with them, well, that's like an injustice. You have different truths. A house divided can't stand. And the people who eventually will keep staying in a relationship with them are either loving people who did give up on believing in themselves and believing in their dreams, that are kind of more staying with them out of defensiveness. or out of fear or out of insecurity. Is that a dream life? I'm manipulating someone who I made give up believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. And now they're defensive to believing in themselves, so they're kind of indulging me in a relationship. Is that anything to be proud of? Wow, that is the dream relationship, right? Oh yeah, I got me my girlfriend, boyfriend over there. Yeah, they don't. I totally was cold and manipulative and hurtful and competitive. They no longer love and believe in themselves. They're not going anywhere. They're going to keep indulging me in my shadowy ways of being. Wow, that's something to be proud of, right? But they might have people willing to stay in a relationship with them, other people who their truth is more about the ego and the image and the status. That's what they love too. And it's not based on love, it's more about ego. Because that's their truth. That is the most important thing. If I have a certain status, image, or power, or status, that'll make me happy. I don't need love. Well, other people in their life might see it is more for those reasons, and other people might not really like to hang out with them because they do see it is more superficial and shallow, or them being full of themselves, or they're indulgent in what they indulge in, thinking they're living the dream, and other people don't want to be around them. And again, because they can be competitive, snooty, haughty, whatever, and other people don't want to be around them. But they could keep defending it because for them, that's the most important thing. Meanwhile, other people are maintaining balance within themselves, maintaining balance in their relationships, being inspired, being creative, working together with people in self awareness and love and being just and fair. And the people who want to be around them are other people who are in that energy. And it's a very creative, inspired, kind of uplifting energy to be in. And these people could keep being defensive to why more people aren't aligning with them, you know? And it isn't about who you have more in alignment with you, but that the people that they're kind of more and maybe stay in relationship with are defensive because they're defensive. Everybody wants the other people to temper their ego to indulge them. And the people they're in relationships with want other people to temper their ego and indulge them. Because it is kind of more about them and their ego and their image and wanting people to view them a certain way. But it's not really the truth of who they are. They're really kind of more about themselves. And other people see the truth of it. And other people have inner conflict about working together with them. So Leo energy, which one? Let's see. Gemini. Okay, Sagittarius. I think people, when they're in shadowy energy, they have a lot more inner conflict than people whose more loving nature is kind of in the driver's seat of their life. If we let our loving nature be more in the driver's seat of our life, we offer love and compassion and forgiveness here to our more shadowy nature. Our shadowy nature that wants us to be more immature, prideful, egotistical, go indulge in things to feel better is mad. And we offer love and compassion to our shadowy nature. Is our shadow nature always going to be defensive? Are shadowy people in the world always going to be defensive to us? Yes. But with our own shadow nature, you know, it's like, it's okay if you're mad. I can live with that because my high vibrational nature is the one that helps me give birth to new things. If there's shadowy people in my life that are mad at me, can I still move forward and live my life? Yes, because my more loving nature and loving, creative, inspired people in my life work together with me. I don't need some shadowy people with me. And that's kind of what some people thought they were more. They thought they were the star of the show and that you'd maybe couldn't manifest your dreams into reality without them. It's like, no, I can, because I found out I can't manifest them with you. So I can. And the people who try to align with their more shadowy nature, their more creative, inspired, loving nature, isn't going to work with them. And then they are only working with their mind and using their emotions manipulatively, using their sexuality manipulatively, using their words and their charm and their money and their assets manipulatively, because their high vibe nature isn't willing to work with them to manifest something shadowy. So all the resources that they're trying to work with are kind of these more shadowy resources. And then they just have all this inner conflict, and their high vibe nature is like, we're not going to manifest that shadowy dream into reality with you. If you don't appreciate us and you don't want to listen to your intuition and you don't want to do love and you don't want to be more just and fair and balanced, it's kind of like their high vibe loving nature kind of goes into dormancy. If you don't respect and admire us and want to work with us, appreciate their loving nature, then their loving natures, that's fine. You can try to do this without us. It's kind of like someone being more like a machine in the world. They don't have that creative life spark to them because they don't appreciate that within themselves. And the same thing happens with the loving people in their life. You don't value and appreciate what I bring? Okay, then I will let you live your life and align with other people in your life. And then they can get in relationships with people who want to be in a relationship with them, but they want to kind of manipulate and control them and be in the relationship with them more for the status and the ego and the image. And in a way, it's kind of not liking those people because they know the truth that some of those people are only in that relationship with them for those more shadowy reasons. But you can't have the best of both worlds, but that's what they want. I want to be shadowy and I want someone to be in a relationship with me for the right reasons, but I don't want to be in a relationship with them for the right reasons. And if I get a loving person in my life, I'm defensive to them because they love and believe in themselves. If I get in a relationship with someone who's like me, I'm defensive to them because I know they're more shadowy. What a way to live your life. How about if I want to be in more just and fair and balanced loving relationships, I do the work to be that type of person. But some people are too afraid of being manipulated and hurt by love, so they keep doing this. And I think they end up feeling betrayed because their own fearful, egoic nature keeps manipulating them. And they keep being defensive to the truth of it. So they keep feeling betrayed and keep blaming everyone else for their problems because they don't want to see the truth of how they kind of manifest things not working out in their life, either because of their ego, their defensive nature, their manipulative nature, their self-centered nature, and they don't want to see the truth of it. So it's always everybody else's fault, never theirs. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.